Hello, and welcome back to Intern to Empire, where we talk to young people and get their story on how they're winning in their early careers, industry, and life. I'm your host, Ava Swinton, and today we have my wonderful co-host, Ina Swinton, and as our guest, Daniel. So if you guys could please both introduce yourselves, starting with Ina and then Daniel.
Hello, I'm Ina Swinton. I am the co-host of our wonderful, exciting podcast with Ava Swinton, my daughter. And I've had a firsthand view on how to make successful young people. And I've been fascinated with this my whole life. And today...
And your background?
Well, my background. That's right, my background. So I am an immigrant from the Soviet Union. I came here when I was 9. And I ended up getting into Yale and NYU Law, and I did this all with my parents not speaking English. So it was pretty exciting. And I'm also an actor and a writer and a mentor of young people in my house and also outside.
Awesome. Okay. I'm Daniel. I am a rising junior at Vanderbilt, originally born and raised in a suburb of LA called Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh.
And then, I'm here for the summer interning at JP Morgan Private Bank, doing digital products for them, and then also building out the sports media agency where we do LinkedIn for athletes, and it's called Athletes Pen. Started it with 2014 NBA Rookie of the Year Michael Carter-Williams and an NFL veteran named Calvin Anderson.
Amazing. And you look cool enough to work with athletes. So I think we're off to a good start.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about high school. So you said you grew up in California.
Yeah.
How did you find Vanderbilt? What led you there?
Yeah. So I think growing up, I was never, smartest kid. I was always I had an older brother growing up. He was kind of the smart one, and I was kind of the one just always in the shadow. But, in high school, I remember everyone in my friend group was really, really smart. And so I was kind of the guy just following behind them. But just cruised
Making all
through
the
high
jokes.
school, making the jokes. I remember never did my homework until 5 minutes before it was due, before each class period. Because in between each class block, you had 7 minutes as your passing period, and so I would always use that as my homework block.
And get there quickly.
I get there enough.
Wow,
So that was me.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I remember, in my senior year of high school, I was deciding what college I wanted to go to, and being born and raised in Cali, everyone's dream school is either USC or UCLA. And I think the mindset is if you're born and raised in Cali, you never want to leave. So
That's true. That's what we've experienced.
similar in New York,
Cali
right?
front. Well, I think really California.
California, I
especially.
feel like
There's
nobody ever
sort
wants
of
to leave.
snooty about California, right? They're
Yeah.
nothing is better.
And
in
nobody wants to
California.
leave.
Yeah, they all come back. They all
I
come
feel like
back.
everyone also goes back. So
Yeah.
then you were thinking about where to...
Yeah, so I was so I have an older brother who also goes to Vanderbilt. He's a year older than me. Yeah.
Okay, so you,
And so I did not, and so that made me even that was another factor where I was certain I did not want to go to Vanderbilt. 'Cause I was I cannot follow in his shadows.
even more.
Right. So I was committed to USC mentally, and so I go to Vanderbilt for Anchor Day to just tour and see what it's about. And I remember I got there and I skipped all the orientation, skipped all the programming, and I told my mom
what not to do.
this is
unless
what
you're
not to do.
Daniel.
I told my mom, hey, I'm not going to Vanderbilt, so don't worry. I'm gonna just play basketball with my brother. His name is David. I'm gonna just do that. Don't worry about me. And she was so scared because she's they're gonna take away your offer if they see you didn't pick up your name tag. Super scared that bad things will happen. But for me, I was there's no way I'm going to Vanderbilt. But I kind of lived the college experience for a day. Basically, just shadowed my brother and just followed him around. And on the airport back to LA, I'm a very impulsive person, and so I was you know what, Mom, I'm gonna just commit to Vanderbilt. And so on the spot, I just
something I would do.
I just did it on my phone. I was
You
Yeah.
just committed on your phone.
no thought behind it. I was okay, let me just commit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I honestly in my college decision process, there was zero thought behind my commitments, but definitely best decision that I've made in my 19 years
I
of life.
feel like you felt your gut instinct.
Yeah.
So sometimes you could have a strong connection to your gut,
I'm
your instinct.
I'm a big fan of following your gut feeling. So.
Yeah. So this is actually the name of our episode, following your gut feeling, right?
Mhm.
Okay, we'll
see.
circle back to that. We'll circle back to
See, I
that.
just had a gut feeling
It's
that
okay.
that's a good
We'll circle
name.
back. We'll circle back. Okay. So what about the past 2 years? What has been the experience at Vanderbilt? Has it still been the best 2 years of your life?
Yeah. So I remember when I first came to Vanderbilt, I had the first realization that I had was there are parents and people whose net worths and networks are just something that I didn't even know were possible, right? Like I'm meeting like kids whose
Mhm.
parents are billionaires and whose parents are C-suites at like the companies that I've dreamed of working for. And so I get to Vanderbilt and I realize, okay, like that exists. And so I remember I got to Vanderbilt and I was like, I really want to work in sports. And my parents are Korean immigrants. They ran a Mexican restaurant. And so for me, I'm like, there's nobody I can call on if I want to work in sports. And so decided to work as a student manager for our basketball team. And what that really was mopping the floors, doing the laundry, rebounding for players, all unpaid for like 20, 30, 40 hours a week. And
Wow.
did that for an entire year and then ended up interning at the LA Clippers. But, before I got there, I think like at Vandy, like my realization was like everyone is kind of building towards the 9 to 5 life. Like you see kids going into these consulting clubs, business fraternities, and kind of putting that on a pedestal, which
Mhm.
I think there's its merits too. Like I think the 9 to 5 has lots of rewards and
I think it's like
benefits.
9 to 9 or
Yeah.
maybe 8 to 12.
But, I
Yeah.
think like for me, like as I like lived out at least my freshman year, I was
Mhm.
like, okay, like let me just build towards getting an internship. And so after the Clippers internship, that sort of shifted my career journey because really I started posting on LinkedIn, which was the biggest unlock for me. And so how I got into posting on LinkedIn was when I was at the Clippers, I realized, hey, I'm the youngest in this building. Like I can for sure get a story out of this. And so there were 7 interns total. 6 of them were seniors, and I was the only freshman. And so I was like, okay, like let me get a story out of this. And I think throughout the time of my internship, there were really, really cool things that happened. For example, I was the only intern that said a Clippers player was my favorite athlete. And so for me, transparently speaking, like the athlete that I wrote is not my favorite athlete, but I was like, let me try to get some brownie points. So
Yeah.
wrote this
Smart.
athlete,
Smart.
and I got a signed jersey from this athlete from the CEO, which was really cool.
That is
Yeah,
really cool. I think CEOs are sometimes more accessible than people
yeah,
realize, like
yeah.
because
I
they
agree.
have to answer like all the
Hmm.
little emails that
Yeah,
sometimes come in from
yeah.
the customers,
Yeah.
right?
And so I emailed
Yeah.
the CEO because she knew my face because she
Right,
handed me
right.
this jersey, right?
Right.
So I was like, hey, like we need to chat before I leave. And then I got to talk with the one-on-one, which is super cool. But yeah, back to the LinkedIn, just started posting stories about
Yeah.
it, and then eventually Fortune magazine wrote articles about me. I got my dream jobs and some really cool partnerships that came up. And then from there, I started to work for 3 different agencies that specialized in LinkedIn content. And so what I did was write LinkedIn content and ghostwrite for founders and CEOs. And I did that until December of 2025. And then up until that point, I also was recruiting for an internship. And so I signed my offer letter to work at JP Morgan. And also like, around that time I was like, okay, like new year, new me. Let's try
Yeah.
to switch things up and do something fun. So I I was like,
Sounds
let's
like you've been having fun. Well, mopping floors and
yeah, that
yeah,
was it was definitely a fun experience. Like
yeah,
I would never not I would do it again, like
yeah.
every single time. But
So what did you do when you decided then what was the
New
new
wave.
year,
my
the
my
new
new wave
Daniel?
was starting LinkedIn for athletes. And the reason why that occurred was, I was thinking like number one, it's not the most fun writing for these same founders every day, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, like in my time being a student manager for the basketball team, what are the problems that I saw? Besides your 1 or 2 top players, I think the common theme in Division 1 sports is the rest of the team doesn't really go pro besides your 1 or 2 key players. And so, I use LinkedIn to get myself jobs and get myself opportunities. And my thought is, these D1 athletes have arguably one of the hardest jobs being a student athlete, right? Like I think that's something that can get your foot in the door. And so I used LinkedIn, wrote stories for them, and they were getting offers at the Morgan Stanleys, JP Morgans of the world, which I was like, that's like kind of crazy.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So,
Yeah.
eventually use LinkedIn to get these athletes jobs and placements post graduation. And, my realization was if LinkedIn works for athletes this well at the Division 1 level, I know it'll work for the pro athletes. But the only
Hmm.
problem was I didn't know any pro athletes. And so what I did was I DM'd every single athlete I knew on LinkedIn.
This is crazy.
Yeah. And so
Cold
Crazy.
DMs.
yeah, cold DM
Cold
like every
DM.
single basketball player, every single football player, like I knew on LinkedIn. And eventually like started to work with a couple of them. And Michael Carter Williams, who I started the agency with was someone whose account like really took off. Like started from zero and in a couple of months went to like 17K, got the LinkedIn top voice and invited to speak at some of the coolest places and really like account took off and I think his brand and himself as a whole, like so many doors opened up. And
Wow.
I think for there it was like, okay, like we know it works, like let's get this out to more and more people. And so it kind of been a juggling act with this 9 to 5, but
Wow. And you started that in January,
started it.
like
So
the actual
officially, I
new
officially
company with,
launched the
yeah,
company in March.
in March.
Okay.
And
Okay.
basically, like January to March was me.
Planning and
Yeah,
yeah.
because I like literally like January 1st, I started reaching out to people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is an
And
incredible
at the
how
same
to-
time, in January, you also started talking with Sachin
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
about Chelsea
So our
Commons.
Yeah.
viewers, so to our viewers, January 1st is coming up. You have a half a year to get ready for your
To make your own
January
idea.
1st plan. So, and here's how to. So January, February, March, brainstorming, planning,
Yeah, it's good.
reaching out, and then
And at the same
intern house.
time,
Yes.
you were also helping plan this intern house. So
I
tell us a
was.
little
Yes,
bit
and
more
tell us
about
that.
I
Mhm.
was. So I remember there's this one day I get this LinkedIn connection request from someone named Sachin who goes to Penn State. And he said, "Hey, I'm looking to find 12 roommates with me this summer. Like, do you want to join?" And I was like, "Dude, who are you?" Like this random guy. He was like, "I got your contact through like this one person." And he was like saying great things about you. But the problem was I had never spoken to the person that connected us.
Oh, yeah. So here's another person who's great on LinkedIn, which is Sachin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's the guy. But anyways, we called
That's funny.
and he was pitching the idea of creating like this intern hacker house for the summer. And it was a little bit skeptical in the beginning as he was pitching it, but
But when you got that email and you didn't know that connection, what made you respond anyway?
Well,
Was it like the intrigue?
great
of
question. The
Yeah.
reason why I deep down like I was like obviously it's not the most comfortable thing to live with 12 random people, right? But I was like
did you already have plans for your New
yeah,
York
I was
City?
gonna room with my brother. And so that
Right.
was the initial plan.
Right.
But I was like the reason why I was drawn towards doing this was this past summer when I was at the Clippers, I also roomed with two interns who both interned at Apple, but were also content creators. So one of them was a DJ content creator, and he's at like 300K across platforms now, and he started last year. And then he
Wow.
quit.
Hmm.
Like he's doing like DJing full time now, which is super cool. Second guy, he is at like I think like 200K. But the reason why I was like I knew deep down I should do this house was because every time I came home last summer, like I'm living with two people that are just filming content all day, like from like 5 to 10 p.m. And so, like, if you come home and you see people working so hard, like, you
Yeah.
can't just watch
Yeah.
Netflix and
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
nothing.
You
So,
want to be filming
yeah,
content
so
that
I'm
you
like,
send.
let me like, so you get motivated to do things, which is also why I had a big push towards LinkedIn content. Like, while they did TikTok and Instagram, I was like, I'm gonna just stick to LinkedIn and just go
Oh
hard
my
on
God, that's
that.
so cool. You were like the social media,
Yeah, it was.
like trio.
It was super fun. Our goals is like once we succeed, the
Yeah.
three of us, like the people that
Yeah.
lived in the house last summer, like we're gonna re-rent the house and throw a little party.
Oh, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
That's
That's what
funny.
we're gonna do, so.
That's
So, then
making such
so
good
that's why you were
friends.
like
Yeah,
motivated
that's
to.
what I knew.
Yeah.
Like,
So you heard that idea and you were like something about the idea, the pitch. You
Right.
felt like,
Right.
oh, the pitch is sort of cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was a pitch,
Well,
because I think at the time, like it was just like we're
An
gonna just live with
idea.
12 college
Yeah.
kids. I think it did
I
like
think
develop as we went
Sachin,
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sachin
No,
was
yeah.
like, he's always pitching something.
Yeah, Sachin's
Right.
a great guy. It's
Um,
crazy though. I met like so many of these people through LinkedIn. Like it's crazy. Like some of these guys like form such great friendships with. And it's crazy that
Through
it all started through
With-
LinkedIn.
This is amazing. Okay,
So
so
Daniel,
by-
okay,
yeah.
so then slight back, Daniel, you were the first person
Yeah.
brought into this house,
Oh,
right?
you were the first person.
Yeah. So then sort of, what were next steps from there?
Next steps. I remember like we were thinking of people that we should start adding, like building a core group around. And then Will, he also goes to Vandy, now going to Stanford. He was someone that I also met through LinkedIn, which is pretty crazy.
Right.
I didn't know him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
So you didn't know him at school.
I didn't know him until like after I started posting on LinkedIn. The reason how I met him was there was this guy that was like, "Yo, like my friend saw your LinkedIn post and really wants to talk to you." And I was like, like, who is this? Like, this is troll. I was like, this kid's for sure joking. But then, like, I met up with Will. He was super genuine, really loved the guy. And then the reason why I told Sachin, like, let's bring Will on was because Will was trying to do something similar, but for 4 people at Vandy. And so we were all trying to room together, which would have been crazy now because he left. Anyways,
Right.
like, we were gonna, like, do 4-person house with, like, me, Will, and, like, 2 other, like, builders
Yes.
In
yes.
Nashville or
in
in New
Nashville.
York?
In Nashville.
Oh, in Nashville.
Yeah, so, like,
Okay.
for our dorming for junior year, we were gonna do
Like a builder
a
house.
builder house.
That's so cool.
But it didn't work
Well,
out.
yeah.
It didn't work out. And so I was like, I felt really bad. I was like, yo, well, I know it didn't work out, but great news. Like, we got something in the summer where it's very similar, 12 people, I think you would love it. And so I told Will to talk to Sachin. They started talking. They hit it off. But the only problem was Will was supposed to room with someone else named York, who also lives in the house now. But brought York on. Will and York came in as a little package duo.
Oh, I
And
like
then,
that.
yeah, it just started building
Started
from there.
building. That's so cool. So before we go on to I think there's a lot of questions about the house. I want to hear something about your restaurant, this restaurant.
Oh,
in
where your
California.
Yeah.
Because it
parents'
sounds like
restaurant.
very formative.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was.
you talk about grit and persistence and sort of resilience,
Mhm.
right? And that helped you gain that work ethic and
Mhm.
resilience. Could you just tell us a little bit? What did you work in the restaurant?
Yeah. Well-
How did that work out? And why was it? It was a Mexican restaurant,
Mexican
right?
restaurant.
So how did? Is it because that was the market?
Yeah, that's just
I
what.
love that. Yeah.
So initially, my grandparents, when they came to the U.S., so they immigrated here. They actually opened the 7-Eleven, and so that was their first, business. But
Mhm.
7-Eleven is incredibly straining because it's a 24/7 business. Like, you just cannot shut it down. And so they were looking for something to start that wasn't 24/7. So the only option was a Mexican restaurant, and Korean immigrants that have never tried a taco in their life,
Right.
starting a Mexican restaurant. But they were the ones like cooking everything, so they had to like
Right.
learn how to cook Mexican
I
food,
love that.
learn
So
how to
sort
speak
of-
Spanish, and so
Wow.
Oh, so do you speak
Wow.
Spanish?
no.
But they don't know how to speak Spanish.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the
Yeah.
bare minimum of like
Yeah,
ordering,
well,
right?
of course, but that's important because I think it's a great lesson about markets,
Yeah,
right? Like they
it is.
figured out what the market was and
Yeah.
they learned what they needed
Yeah.
to succeed
so-
in that market.
The area that I grew up in is highly populated with Hispanic truck drivers, and so our restaurant was a hotspot for those truck drivers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just a big parking lot.
Yeah,
Right.
huge. And so how I grew up was like, like there most of the times of the week, and I was like kind of in the back counter. My brother and I, there was like a small table. There's like mariachi music playing in the background, and we'd be doing Kumon packets in the counter. And then once we're done with our Kumon packets, like we would like go in the back, fill up the salsa cups, or like sit behind, my dad who's behind the cash register, or if it's like too hot because it's burning in these restaurants, like would go in the walk-in fridge and just like stand there. But
Wow.
the reason why I think I'm so grateful for the experience is, you watch, your parents, your people going through these 16-hour work days
Mhm.
in these restaurants. Like, honestly, like you can't complain about doing any other work. Like, if
No.
you see that, like, I think
Right.
restaurant industry is the most demanding, like physically, mentally. Like, there's just so many factors where, like, you profit like what, like $1 max from a food item that you're selling. Like, I think just being raised in that, it's like gives you a sense of urgency and
Okay, wait. So let's go back to Chelsea Collins. So wait. So once you guys got your group together, what was the most important thing you were looking for when you were looking for the next 5? Like, what was the most important trait? Like, what did you value the most?
yeah. I think we had over 200 applications. Like, interviewing and
Wow.
like feeding through those people was
200.
pretty difficult. And I think the thesis, or like the goal that we had when creating this house, is that we want people that are very, very ambitious and want to build something outside of their internship. So that was the
I like
entire
that.
like theme around what we wanted. And so we also wanted people like that, where people that are very smart, very competent, but also like have dreams outside of their like corporate internship, right? And so that was like the mindset that everyone had. But like as we were talking to these people, like I was like the more and more I thought, I was like, end of the day, like you're gonna be coming home to like your roommates, and so like of course you want your roommates
Interesting.
to be very, very smart, very, very competent, but end of the day, like you're gonna be spending a lot of time with them, right? And so I was like, yo, we need to have people that are just like people that we would want to be genuine friends with. And I remember like as we would do these interviews, like I would type in the notes. I'm like, this guy I think would be, a great addition and like bringing up the vibes of our house. Or I think this person would just be a great like personality that we can include.
Hmm.
And I think like sometimes like we did get a lost like we did get lost in the beginning just trying to find like the most prestigious and most accomplished people, but I think that kind of takes away from I think like at some point everyone's like skill and competence is like gets in the same range. Like I think
And
like
then what sets them apart at that point?
yeah, so it's just like you got to find people that you would want to be friends with because you're gonna be living with them for like 3 months. Like you don't want to come home after a bad day and then you have someone that's just like not fun to be around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a vibe check. You
Yeah.
had to do
So they
that.
had to
Yeah.
pass that.
Yeah.
Great.
That's interesting. And so, was there like a waiting list for next summer?
We're
That's
trying.
silly.
We're
Okay,
trying to build
okay.
something for the next summer. So
That's really cool. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you're balancing your internship? Like,
Mhm.
how is that going?
On top of like
On top of
the
everything else.
LinkedIn
So this
agency
JP
stuff.
Morgan, like, what are you learning there that's transferable?
mhm.
Who are you meeting? Like, what's your feeling about that experience?
Yeah, I've actually been asked to help JP Morgan with their LinkedIn content. So that's been pretty
Oh
fun.
my god,
That's exciting. Oh my
That's
God.
exciting because that's a huge thing.
How big is their following across?
I
Like
actually,
LinkedIn.
so I'm in JP Morgan Private Bank, and so that
Mhm.
serves like the ultra high net worth individuals. But
Perfect.
kind of how I got in how LinkedIn conversations came up was like, I met with a couple of like the MDs and the CMOs, and like I think as I just talked through my background, the realization is LinkedIn is like undeniably a very powerful marketing channel, and so
Mhm,
I think
mhm,
a
mhm.
lot of corporate companies approach LinkedIn to be very, very PR lens and like very masked, very, very professional. But I think like the angle that I come from is like you write for founders in a very conversational, real,
Mhm.
and authentic way.
Mhm.
And that'll always convert better than something that's like very, very polished. So that's just something that I was like talking to the team about and just like sharing my background and what worked. And
Mhm.
eventually like started to get a bit more involved within there. But I think the
Wow.
biggest lessons I learned in JP Morgan is number one, they have 300,000 employees.
Hmm.
That is something that blows me away.
It's like
Like,
a
Wow.
major city.
it's
Like,
insane.
right? That's
Yeah, I think like the power that like it's crazy. Like internationally, like the teams that they have employed, I think is really, really crazy.
Crazy.
But yeah, just been learning a lot how to navigate across different teams, different regions.
That's interesting because it's and in terms of their marketing
Mhm.
and their LinkedIn, what is it like now? I mean, are there older people doing it?
Like, what's their
People that-
marketing
like, what is
strategy at
it?
this moment?
I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, you're not allowed to
So-
reveal all of it, but I guess you're right because that's sort of
Okay, we'll cut that question.
okay. We'll cut the question, or don't cut the question. But actually, there's a
Oh.
good lesson here.
Good lesson.
Good lesson. You need to be mindful of what information you can give out as an intern. So Daniel's giving a great example of being a great intern right here,
Let's go.
right now,
Okay.
in real time. So no, it's true. I have a question about AI.
Mhm.
So what I have noticed on a lot of LinkedIn posts
Uh-huh.
is some of them can sound a little dull
Uh-huh.
because it just feels like there's too many words or too many word combinations.
Mhm.
So do you feel like too many people are more people relying on AI to write their LinkedIn
Mhm.
posts? Do you have a radar that can sort of see what is more interesting on LinkedIn? What is your feeling about the use of
Mhm.
AI for writing on LinkedIn specifically?
Well, I worked in the 3 agencies that all they did was LinkedIn content for founders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every single one of them, AI is you're just using it 24/7.
Mhm.
Now, I think there's a very strategic way to go about it, and there's a lot of signs where you can tell if someone's using AI in writing. For example, AI will always give you writing like the rule of thirds. Well, that's something that it'll give you. It'll give you a contradiction where it's like it's not X, it's Y.
Mm-hmm.
It'll also give you a lot of like very predictable formats.
Mhm.
It'll give you like two very short sentences in a back-to-back manner to prove a point. Like, there's a lot of signs. I think that just the more you read,
Yeah.
like writing, like you'll see like there's
Mhm.
different patterns in AI
Mhm.
writing.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is a way where you can sort of narrow and tailor it to each of your clients' voices. But it does take a lot of like you do have to be in the loop. So it's not
Right.
like 100% of it will be
Yeah,
done.
you have
But
to be prompting and
yeah.
changing and programming, really,
Yeah.
the AI thing. I agree, because as a writer, it's very interesting, because sometimes you will have it help, and then when you drill in, you see, you're like, well, what does that sentence mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
Yeah.
it will, because our brains are
Think so
sometimes
differently than-
confused
Yeah.
by things that it comes up with, and you, it sounds very polished, and then you like, wait, what do those two words mean when they're together? You know, so it's interesting to me, because suddenly I think there's an explosion of content, and I sometimes feel fatigue over,
It
you
is,
know, with
yeah.
going through
Through
the
everything,
content.
yeah.
So actually, what I know some people do is they have their AI read the AI. And
So it's just like a circle of
like,
AI.
It's literally this like,
Oh,
you know,
man.
not virtuous circle, because basically like somebody's AI writes their thing, but then somebody's AI reads the thing and
Yeah.
then gives a little brief. Like, so
That's
it's a
crazy.
little interesting, because I think our ways of communication are definitely
Yeah, it's changing.
because like it's the load, the cognitive load of AI is large.
Yeah.
So you can't even like expose yourself to it all the time. You have to have your like little protective barrier, like condense it for you.
If you had another, like, let's say you're like raising
Mhm.
another kid right now, right?
Mhm, mhm.
What age would you introduce AI to them?
I think that's really hard.
Great question.
This is actually the same question a lot of people have about
Phone.
phones and social media.
Well, you
and-
introduce them a year younger to every kid. Because I got it at
Yeah.
14. And then Alexa got hers at 13. And Maxime got his at 12.
And the worst part is, I literally today, Dad, sent a thing into our family chat about how 12 is the like if
The
you
worst age
introduce
to introduce.
if you
What?
introduce the phones at like
How old were
12.
you when you got a phone?
I was 7th grade summer.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that was Maxine too.
Wait, that was-
great summer.
No, he got it 6th grade summer.
What? But we tried to restrict it. No,
Bro.
we had a different theory. We had a different theory. Like every time he broke his phone, we wouldn't replace it. Like so his screen didn't work so well. So like no, he still used it, but obviously like the less attractive
Yeah,
the phone was. So we had like this like sort of this
Yeah.
you know, attrition like strategy where like basically
But when would you introduce AI? If it was
well,
just like different.
that's a really hard question, because we're sort of all this experiment. I think it's important to know how to use it for sure.
I think if I
because
had
then
it all of high school, it would have made my high school experience very different.
But I
Yeah,
think
super
it
bad.
confuses your writing. Like
I
feel
agree.
like
I
if
was-
you use it to write or even to think, like because this is what I've read recently, that part of what it's supplanting is your thinking. Because when you write, you're using your writing to think. And so like you're actually like, oh, this sentence and
Yeah.
it's like in your brain. First of all, you use it to create memories, and because writing goes to some part of your brain that creates a memory, a stronger memory, plus you're processing. So if you use the AI to write, like the thoughts won't feel as urgent. It's almost like a workout. Like, would you have your AI work out for you? Like, you
No.
really can't, because you have to build that muscle, right? Like, the muscle has to do the work itself.
Same thing in
And
your
I
brain.
think like your brain, you know, has to do some of that work, or else you're not building connections. So it's very tricky, I think, for young people as their brains are developing, which I think they say it's like 24 is when you're
25 for a male, 23
Yeah.
for a girl.
So like I think it's tricky to outsource so much thinking, because then you're clearly not going to develop those muscles. On top of it, the short form video is, I think, like those kind of like dopamine rushes that short form video gives. It's like this variable dopamine stuff, which is what they use at slot machines. Because and initially, actually, years ago, and maybe this I'll just take 2 minutes to say it, but years ago we went to a convention at Stanford with my husband, and it was about persuasive technology, because there was I think it was BJ Fogg was like a Stanford neuroscientist professor or something, psychology, and they were studying how to persuade people, you know, using technology. And the slot machines, they studied like all those people that designed for Apple, so all the phones, they studied what makes people stay on. And it's like this whole like sort of variable reward, which you're supposed to use with dogs too, by the way. Like you don't always give them a reward, you sometimes give them a reward, so then they like want to do things to see if they
So
get
then
a
how
reward.
do they
Yeah.
translate
Well, that's
that
like
to the phone?
notifications, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's your notifications.
Right.
Like, oh, it could be something great, like, oh, we accepted you to this, you know, great house, and you know, welcome to our house.
Yeah.
Or it could be some ad. So basically, people use that same text. So in terms of kids and introducing AI, I think we're all living in this like brave new world. They have to know about it. But for example, Maxime, who was writing papers, like you have to try to write that paper yourself first, I think. And then maybe you can run it through something to give you feedback, and just say, well, that wasn't clear, or that I think it's better use is feedback rather than the actual original writing. Because if you use it too much to do the original writing, like you're just not developing that muscle. And maybe it won't matter because whoever's reading it is not going to be using their muscle to read it. But then like we're going to end up in some really different place, right? Where we are like giving up our own autonomy and agency to devices, and I don't know. So the answer is no. I would wait as long as possible. But I think at some point you like certainly in high school people are using AI, and I think now in 8th grade they're probably
definitely. I think it's just because it wasn't introduced when I was in 8th grade. But if it was, I'm sure people would have been using it.
I think it comes to discipline. Like it's sort of like there's lots of great food to eat, but are you going to eat all of it?
Right.
Like you have to develop. No, it's
great.
true.
No, it's a great metaphor.
Like there's all this stuff, but in the end, like you're the one that has to live in your body, in your brain. And like, so I think the hardest thing is for children, like as a parent, like you have to just sort of impart maybe that wisdom as best as you can, and probably just keep people busy. Like I think what we've always done is, you go on that walk outside, you go on that trip, you go like you go play a sport, just do things. Like I think you have to fill up your life with things that aren't facing the computer, and then you'll have a better chance.
I think that's why reading will make a huge comeback.
Yes.
Because I feel like kids these days aren't reading as much.
Which is crazy because I remember when I was growing up, I spent like summers like reading series.
Wait, did you have something called the AR test?
AR?
AR test? Like after reading a book?
No.
So basically in my middle school, it's like they have something called the AR test where you read books and then you take a quiz.
Oh, well, yeah, we would like book quizzes or like
but like basically like you can read like as many books as you want, and there would be like a leaderboard. So like in your middle school classes, like whoever has like the most points would be like your top AR scorer.
Well, also, I don't think kids read enough. Like
we read a lot.
We read a lot.
Like,
we used to grow up like reading like.
We didn't have when I was growing up. We didn't have. I mean, we had
computers,
like, TV. With, like,
even when I was growing up, like I remember every single like summer vacation we took, like. We don't like go on our phones in the cars. Like we all just everyone reads in the cars. Like even now, like there's still books in our car. Like there was like one summer we were 10. Hard. Like Alexa and I tried to like speed run who could read the Harry Potter series faster.
Yeah,
and there was like I don't even know who won. Probably.
I think reading is there's so many benefits to reading. Like if reading not fiction actually reduces stress. And I mean, there's so many, but I noticed that people have a harder time watching a movie.
Well, because people's attention spans.
Wait, that's why. Gone. Did you guys hear? That's why they made the new Stranger Things season to be, like, intentionally lowered the quality so that they can, because they knew people would doom scroll while watching the new Stranger Things. So they were saying like, so they were saying like, why is it like, like what happened to the quality of this season? And they were like, it was intentionally lowered so that people. Because they knew, like, their audiences. It's like the Gen Z.
This is why Love Island is so popular. Oh my god,
Do you know what Love Island is?
Okay. No, this is why.
I knew you were going to mention that. I was thinking about that as soon.
Do you watch Love Island?
I've been watching a little bit but it's so funny. People watch it just so they could talk to each other about it. That's
I've never watched it until this summer. But also, it's really hard to watch because...
Well, the fun thing is you could just dip in and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you can watch an episode here or there.
Sure.
But I watched the one where they came back from...
Okay, is this...
Okay. It's the craziest one. Okay.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe shit.
Oh my god.
Anyway, no, but it was funny. But last night we actually saw a Shakespeare play.
Oh, I thought you were saying last night you watched last night's episode.
No.
And last time we saw a great play.
Yeah,
All's Well That Ends Well.
No, it was as
what was
Sorry,
more fun?
as you like it.
What was more fun, Love Island or the play? Be honest.
You like it was very similar to Love Island.
It was in the end. It ends up with these four couples in the forest, and like they all have their trials and tribulations, So like you watch,
and there's a narrator, which is the host, Ariana Madix.
Yes, yeah, it was.
Oh, wait. Of Shakespeare?
No. Ariana Madix is the host.
Oh, I think you're saying she narrated.
No, there's a narrator.
Yeah, but in Shakespeare's time, think about it. There was no phones. There was
nothing
no
in
television. There was no Love Island. So people would go en masse to see this play. And literally, the plot was, can all these lovers get together, and who will end up with who?
Oh my god!
It was literally the same thing. So last night, as I was sitting there, I texted as we were watching the end when these four couples all got married. It was four couples; they all got married.
And you really texted us, and you're like,
and I texted.
This is Shakespeare's version of Love Island.
Shakespeare's version of Love Island, and everybody, because it really was. The point is that dumbing things down for for us because we have to fight hard to keep our brains and to tell stories.
Well, then it's
So
just
getting
sad
back
when
to
you look at
telling-
like when you look at like movies that like people used to love to watch, and it's just like no one goes to the movie theaters anymore because people can't sit there and people don't let people go on their phones. It's just like also streaming platforms. The amount of movies being watched is much lower than the amount of TV being watched. There's like a lot of
Right.
like people just can't sit through content.
We can talk about storytelling because here we have a master storyteller with us. So that brings us full circle. So what makes for a great story on LinkedIn?
A great story on
Yes.
LinkedIn. So you have 108 characters to make a really good hook. So if you think about, your YouTube thumbnails, you think about your TikTok hooks, like you have to capture the attention of the audience in that hook. And I think on LinkedIn, like people don't really think like that because they use like the I'm excited to announce or like recent. You know what I'm saying? There's always like this very standard definition of
Yeah.
exactly. But
Yeah.
I think like the platform of LinkedIn has changed so much within the past year. Like before, it was realistically the platform you went if you got a new job, you got promoted or you got fired. Like that was like the three avenues in which you post on LinkedIn.
Right.
But now it's really shifted to be where like these CEOs are posting about what's going on in their day to day. Like I think there was like a recent festival called Cons Line, right? You guys heard of that?
Con-
Cons Line? I don't. Is it Cons or
Yeah,
it's
Ken.
Ken?
Like
Ken?
the film
Is
festival.
It's not Cons.
yeah. I think it's
C-A-N-N,
well,
yes.
no, in French it's pronounced con.
Cons, right?
I always say
Oh,
con.
I think in French it's pronounced can.
Oh,
Can?
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
it's
anyway.
a double N. Okay, whatever.
Can.
Oh, maybe.
Con.
I
Okay,
think
we'll
I
say
say
cons. We'll say
con.
cons.
I don't know.
say
Everyone
Con.
I
Like
heard
it's
say-
festival.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Both ways.
Okay, whatever.
Anyways.
Con. We'll say con.
Con.
Or can.
Cans.
Can.
Con.
Whatever.
Okay. Whatever.
One of those. Wait, there's actually this time when I used to say caffeine, and then everyone would make fun of me.
Caffeine.
Yeah. Like I did a research project where I was like talking about. I used to always say caffeine, and I was like, it's not caffeine.
It comes also from speaking two languages. Like sometimes I'll say a word the way it is in Russian.
Oh.
Instead of in English. So I think
There's very few
sometimes use the wrong words.
words.
No, it's true. Like there are things that have an like and also Dad uses
British words. Yeah.
well no he uses Canadian like he says Natasha, not Natasha.
Oh,
Anyway,
that was a
bottom line
very
is,
very
yeah.
specific example. Okay, so anyways, at con.
Yeah. So I mean, they're saying there's like this huge rise in thought leadership content, and people want to hear like not just from like your marketing interns, but people want to hear from like these leaders that are driving the world, right?
Of course.
So
right.
that's why I think there's a shift on the platform where it's like people want to hear from these leaders, and there's no platform where you're not going to read that on Instagram,
Yeah.
Twitter, or TikTok.
Right.
You're going to read that on LinkedIn.
Right.
And so I think with that rise, like there was that shift where people started writing about the more real things of what's going on in like their business lives. And so back to like what makes I think a good LinkedIn post is like you have 108 characters to like make a very compelling hook. And once that reader clicks the see more feature on LinkedIn to read the rest of the post, like then you kind of capture their attention. And I think really has to like flow in terms of a story where, like you have TikTok, you have audio stimuli, you have like visuals, like you have multiple different things. But like LinkedIn, of course, is a video feature, but LinkedIn's primary content is the writing. So it has to be very, very easy to understand. It has to be fun to read, which I think sometimes like I think the misconception is like LinkedIn, just because it's on LinkedIn, it has to be very, very boring business content.
Interesting.
But I
right.
think that's not the case.
Yeah.
I think you can make any writing fun, but still have value. I think there's a difference between like value and then like,
I feel like I've also seen like a lot more people post like more casually on LinkedIn. Like
Yeah.
I'm seeing people post like their meals and people post like even like
Really?
vacations. Like I've just like seen a little bit more of a shift. And then also like something thoughtful they're learning through what's going on. But I've seen a shift in like it used to just be so formal and now I'm just seeing a lot more like fun coming out of the post, I feel.
I think it's because also it's hard to post across all the media, right? So you have to decide in a way where you have more of a presence because there's so many options.
I do think LinkedIn is the platform that can give you the most return in the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
But
Love this.
I think to your point, I can't really say much because like when I first started posting on LinkedIn, like you have to get as much content out as possible. So I did post admittedly very pointless, corny things.
But it worked.
It did work. I do think like I wasn't like super like it wasn't like very, very random. Like I wasn't posting about meals or anything like that. But sometimes when I do see them, I'm just like, I think you have to realize like you do have a reputation on. It's not like you can make another LinkedIn account. Like you're sticking with one LinkedIn account for the rest of your life.
Right.
Like for Instagram, TikTok, you can make a
Like,
business account. You can
right.
make a sports account. You can make
Anything else.
multiple, but like
Mhm.
LinkedIn account, like that'll stay with you like forever. Even if you like delete the post, like I think that reputation is still tied down to you.
Mhm.
So I will say like I think as you post, like you have to keep in mind like you're building out this portfolio and this resume. So you have to be very intentional about what you're putting out there.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm going to ask about the intentional posting on
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn. So if when your client comes to you, so you have a new client, how do you onboard them? How do you decide what they'll post about? What's your process like with
Mhm.
working with a client on LinkedIn?
I think before I think about anything, like I just want to understand who they are and like I try to come up with a tagline for each person.
Mhm.
I think the reason why I want to come up with like a tagline and like a memento is that's what I did for myself. Like my tagline that I experimented and landed on that drove me results was here's that one from mop boy to youngest NBA intern. And like that was after like different framings that allowed me to
Mhm.
get in like Fortune magazine, that allowed my name to get out there
Yeah.
in front of the right people.
There's a movie coming out in 5 years about this mop boy. You got it. Somebody's
Produced
got
by
it.
Ava, right?
Yeah.
Produced by the
Wait
Swinton
a minute.
Channel?
This is
Oh.
what are you looking? This is a story here. Get the rights now.
Okay, we'll,
Get the rights.
we'll get on it.
Get the rights.
But
Okay.
yeah, I think before I even think about posts and metrics and whatever, like I just try to understand like who is this person, like
Mhm.
what is something that I can create like their brand tagline to be about, and like just what is like the flow of like this like what is just like who is this person and like how can I like get their story out in a way where it makes sense in like different steps. And so I think that's my first thing is like I try to visualize it like a book. And then from there like I just fill in posts that are necessary. Like I think in the beginning, like how I always tell all my clients is like when you're building a house, like you want to build out that foundation for you want to build out the foundation. I think very much goes on LinkedIn, right? Like if you are like this billionaire founder, but nobody knows who you are, like you have to before you even think about giving advice, you have to establish like who you are first. You have to give people a reason to listen. Like, if
Very
I'm talking to this client, I'm like, I obviously trust you. I know you've built all these very impressive things up, but the rest of the world doesn't know that. And if you go straight into this thought leadership content, like no, nobody knows who you are. Like you can't do that. Like build up your reputation first, give people a reason to listen, and then from there you can identify the different pillars of your brand and then start segmenting through there.
Wow.
Wow.
This is like gold advice. So build your foundation. I think it's good for life and
It
you know
is.
in general. We have to figure out how to do that. I know you just told me can't ask more
You can ask-
questions right now, but I'm curious. Did we want to know about what your some hobbies?
Hobbies?
Oh yeah, let's do a hobbies question. That's a good question. Like, what are things you like to do?
Wait,
in your-
can you try to guess what hobbies I would
Okay.
have?
Oh, I love this.
I feel like I know, so I'm not
There's
gonna.
gotta
Yeah,
be.
I bet Ava
Okay.
knows.
Do you love basketball?
I like basketball.
Okay.
That's
Wait.
That's an easy one.
Let's see a hobby. Movies? No. Okay, wait.
No, not really.
There
a
could be
big
the
person.
sports.
Uh-huh.
There could be what about not movies? Um Cooking?
Wait, do you want to see the meal prep that I've been
Okay.
eating?
I guess
Oh my God.
did you guess it?
I like cook. I mean, not as much as
Meal
I.
prep. So meal prep.
Wait, it's
Not cooking.
super not good looking. It's ground
What?
turkey,
What?
eggs, and spinach.
Okay, can I show this?
No, oh.
Wait.
How long? Okay.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
I miss a
Wait a
home cooked
minute.
meal.
This is crazy.
How many are there of this?
Wow. I eat this for lunch every day. It's not good. It's not good.
I feel
Wait.
like you should, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
fasting.
Well, what about like like maximizing your health?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, working
Yeah.
out.
I've been loving saunas lately.
Okay, so the last question we like to ask all of our guests is, what are 3 things you're looking forward to in like the upcoming year? I know like the school year is coming. One could be like personal, one like academically, like / like work wise, and then one socially.
My first thing that I'm looking forward to is I think I've grown so much this past like from this point, like July 3rd, 2025. I was still like didn't have much going on. I think I started posting on LinkedIn towards the latter half of July. But so much of my life has changed.
1 year?
Yeah.
Wow.
So much of my
Wow.
life has changed since then. And I think even in these past 6 months, my life. Even in the past month, this past
Wow.
week, like so much has changed
So
for
the
me.
rate of change is
It's
very,
very, very quick.
yeah.
And so people always ask me like, what do you want to do in like 3 months? Like, and people are like, what do you like want to do? Like, where do you want to be? And like, I can't give an answer because like my weeks change so much, right?
Wow. I love this.
And so
Yeah.
my first thing that I'm looking forward to is how much I'm gonna watch this video. Hopefully it's out December 2026, but hopefully 2026
Yes.
Daniel will have achieved very, very great things and is, you know, has accomplished a lot. And so I think I'm
Yeah.
hoping that the momentum will like grow, like will just compound and
Yeah.
grow quickly. So that's number one is I think specifically for Athlete Spend, the agency, like want it to be very, very big. Second thing that I'm looking forward to is I'm curious to see how I'll develop as a person. I think, like rate of which you mature, like when you have your own business and you're like talking to some like really important people, like I think you're forced to, like for me, like I'm turning 20 in like a couple weeks, but
You're
it's
not
like
20 yet.
I'm not
That's
20 yet.
right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is really very
All done before 20.
unbelievable. So you started this business before you were
Yeah.
even 20.
You started your business at 18.
Well, I
Or were
started
you like 19?
19
Like,
because I turned
Yeah.
19 in July 24th.
oh, okay. So
Or 20 in
Right. Right.
But I think like what I'm looking forward to is like, I think for you too, like you're doing like really, really impressive things at a young age. Like you're forced to mature and grow quicker than
Mhm.
everyone else, right? And so it's like the problems that you have, like you talking to a client and like not being able to close down, or like you figuring out something that came up producing a movie, like that's something that your scale of problems is very different from someone that's like, oh, like I couldn't get like this new t-shirt that released.
Right.
Right. So the
Right.
scale of problem is
Exactly.
very different. And I think
Mhm.
through that, like you grow up very quickly. But I'm looking forward to see like how much I can grow, but also like if I can or how I should framing is terrible. I expect myself to be a very like humble and still like grounded person because I think like my origins and roots are very humble. And so I don't want to lose that. So that's
I
my
love
second.
that. So stay humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third one is I think this upcoming semester will be very fun. My friends from abroad are back. So
Okay.
we'll start.
So
Having
these
some
are
fun.
friends that went away there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I had like for the grade above in Vandy,
Mhm.
like everyone goes abroad their junior fall. And so they're all
what? No,
returning.
junior spring.
Junior spring.
Yeah.
And so they're all returning for the fall. So
And is your brother a junior or is he gonna be a senior?
he's gonna be a senior.
Oh, he's
So
your,
I'm gonna
oh,
be-
so he's a year
Yeah, he's
older.
a year older.
And what's your brother interested in?
He's like it's crazy because he's like we're like carbon copies of each other.
Oh my
Like
God.
he
I
also
love
was a
that.
manager for the basketball team, actually.
What?
Wait a minute. So now your show has two people in it.
Oh my
I
god.
think it's more like
Two brothers.
I think we're very different. Where it's like I am more like I guess he's very like play by the rules, like very like
Okay.
textbook
And you're the younger
good
brother.
kid,
Yeah.
right? And I think for me it's like
You're the wrong
never
one.
followed the rules, like did whatever I wanted. But he's at Morgan Stanley right now for his internship, and yeah, very very smart guy.
Do you guys hang out a lot in the city?
Actually, no, because we don't have time. But I see him once a week.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Anyway,
Another
your
question.
last parting wisdom to our
Wisdom.
viewers.
I don't know if I'm qualified to give wisdom to
Okay.
anybody, but
Make your resolutions now. Start thinking of those New Year's.
yeah,
The new.
think of your goals. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm not in a
Yeah.
place to give advice or wisdom
Yeah.
yet. I will say, hopefully we'll both be working hard. Then I'm gonna watch this video December 2026, and then hopefully I will have achieved. Actually, some of my New Year's goals like have completely changed. Like there's some that like completely like do not make sense with my current lifestyle.
Wow.
But so I like intentionally like I feel good like leaving those behind and like shifted my new goals. So
That's really interesting. So I think so the reassessment of
Yeah.
sort of where you were and where you'd
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to be is
Yeah.
important too. So like the examined life. It
Yeah.
sounds like you're living an examined life.
So I had a very different
Yeah.
picture of what my 2026 self would be, but changed a lot. So hopefully, future Daniel, you have achieved tons and tons of great things.
Yeah, and change is good. I think Daniel is someone who welcomes change and rapid change. So let's keep on going.
Great. Thank you so much for our viewers and listeners to tuning in to this episode. Yeah, now we have three of the 12 Chelsea Commons interns on our podcast.
Yeah,
Let's
get
see.
in early.
Bye.
Yeah,
buy
buy
in.
shares.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys.